welcome to the Rag Company Podcast. I'm Dane Hennen. Across from me, Anthony Fisher.
Hey, hey.
And to my left, Morgan McMurray.
What is up, guys?
No Levi. Levi's got a day off. He dropped in briefly, but we were working out some kinks, so it wasn't time for the podcast just yet.
Correct, yeah.
Got it all worked out, though. And you're hanging out with us today. So, man, where do we start?
Where do we start, Dane? So basically, to kind of wrap up last weekend, this is what happened. Levi went to Mobile Tech Expo.
Yes, he did.
I know we all want to hear about Mobile Tech. We all want to know how it went because I think there was a ton of people that listened to the podcast that actually went to Mobile Tech, right?
I want to hear what he says about me.
This is the hard part, everyone, because here's the deal. We are leaving again this week, and we're going to the Gtechniq Serum Summit, so that's going to be kind of a problem. So basically, we're looking forward to a future podcast with Levi where he can actually give us the rundown of what all went down at Mobile Tech, who he saw, who he met, everything like that, and then it's also going to be combined with what we saw, what we met, or who at Gtechniq Serum Summit. Yep. So it's going to be kind of a big
we'll just
podcast
mush
down
it
the
all
road.
Together.
Yeah. So other than that, though, we're just going to kind of run through our weekends as usual, maybe talk some detailing stuff. I detailed a little bit over the weekend.
Oh, okay.
Dane, did you detail?
I kind of detailed, just a small degree, but, we don't have to talk about that.
I went through it, touchless car wash. It was awesome.
A little more than that.
And Morgan did some detailing, right?
I did a little bit.
Nice.
Cool. So,
Probably more than Dane, but not as much as Anthony. So.
Hey, I'll take it.
Fair.
All right, so I say we jump straight into the weekend. In terms of, I guess, who's to start, I would say Dane, take it away.
I'll take it away because mine had less to do with detailing, although I did do some glass cleaning with Glass Cleaner. I really like that product. What was Glass Cleaner? Excellent Glass Cleaner.
Like, you're spraying it down.
That's my
and
detailing.
You wiped one mirror and you're like, that's it. I've done it.
Is very much
That
adequate.
Well,
was
for one
awesome.
thing, I went through and I tried with like O&R first and stuff, but then I actually drove to the store here because I had to swap vehicles and other stuff because long story. But
you swap vehicles.
yeah, because I have both my vehicles here. There's a picture on Instagram that explains.
How are they both here?
How are they, Dane? You're only one person, so how did
you
that work?
I had the Montero at the Les Schwab up the street that I dropped off the night prior with my girlfriend Liz. We dropped off the truck
and you
we
walked
went
both,
home.
and you both walked home.
And then no, I have 3 cars. We were able to take one of them to the Les Schwab because I'd like to do more of the work myself on this stuff, and I am capable of doing it thanks to the wonders of YouTube tutorials.
Oh, wow.
Which,
YouTube mechanic.
that's kind of YouTube mechanic. Yeah, I do not profess to know any more than what I happen to see in the video right in front of me. So
I like that. Yeah.
there's that. But it helped when I was learning on the Miata. I really appreciated having those videos out there. So to all you who create how-to videos and you actually know what you're doing, thank you.
Yeah.
I know a guy. Any rate, so got that. Ball joints had to be replaced because the driver's side wheel, the whole hub and stuff, everything was just wobbly.
Is basically what was
very
happening.
wobbly,
Dane.
left to right, up down, didn't matter. It was like a D-pad on a game controller. It was
Okay.
bad.
Is the D-pad after that one friend spends the night at your house and you're like, please don't go that hard on my controllers. My mom just bought this for me, right?
And it's already
and
busted.
he's like, I'm not going to go that hard. Don't worry. I'm not going to hit the plastic on the side. Just let me be, right?
And you're just like,
and
it's
then,
all scuffed up.
And then like the next morning you see like the sweat, from his finger all the way down the thing. And
There's
you're
just
like
like a layer of film
and you're
on
like,
it.
look what you've done.
The
And he's like, that
Dorito
wasn't
seasoning.
me. And I'm
Dorito
like,
seasoning.
Whatever, man.
Yeah. No.
But I get what you're saying.
The Super Bowl was last night. There was a Cheetos ad where they had, can't touch this, and a guy had Cheeto fingers and he couldn't touch things. That was the running joke. Anyway, so dealt with that. Ball joints got replaced because that was a safety concern. That was something that had to be dealt with quicker. But I'll deal with the constant velocity axles, stuff like that. So I'll deal with the CVs and the other ball joints, which are less bad on my own time. But I also have a service engine light in the Montero that I wanted to find out about.
Nice.
And it said reduced catalytic efficiency. It's a common code for people who either have a failing O2 sensor or their cat's going out, something's up. So usually it's the answer. I figured I'd just, take a look. And from what I could see, I was like, okay, that's one thing. But I just figured I'd get a second opinion, run it by a shop. They didn't charge me anything. I just had them look at it.
So you just need to get a new cat, possibly. Have you considered going down to the shelter?
Terrible joke. Terrible. So turns out OEM cats are not cheap.
Oh, I'm sure they're
Normally,
not.
see, the problem is I was so spoiled by like working on the Miata. When I needed a part, it was cheap.
Yeah.
Anything else, isn't going to be as cheap as that, unless you're talking about hardtops. Miata owners know what I'm talking about with the NAs. Any rate, on the Montero, the deal with it was, okay, got to replace the cat. You see those universal ones, right? You're looking on eBay, and they're all like $100, and you're like, I don't know about this.
I gotta weld that in.
Yeah, well, and like all the people out there who actually work in shops are like, no, don't get it. It's gonna fail in like a year or 2 years, and then you're gonna have to do it all over again. OEM lasts a long time.
Yeah.
OEM is about $800 compared to the Universal, which is like 150, 200.
So I have something to chime in really quick. I see a lot of questionable people, right? The kind of people you wouldn't run into in a dark alley that buy used catalytic converters on Facebook Marketplace.
And they like gut them.
Yeah. What is the reason? Like they say,
there's like ceramic material and stuff. There's like stuff
where it's
inside
worth
that's
something.
It's like people who go ripping copper piping out of a house. kind
like
of
I said,
I'm not saying that's what it is. I'm just saying it has that kind of vibe to it.
It's a
when
very
you're like
specific type of
the
person.
sorts of people who do that probably do the other thing.
Or I look at pictures and I'm like, they've definitely had a few misdemeanors in their life, right? But like here they are doing this.
Let's just pass a little judgment.
What's their plan, right?
So, notwithstanding whatever judgment's been made there, the fact is cats can be cheap or they can be very expensive. Dealing with OEM ones, generally pricier. You go to a dealership and you ask them to replace it for you, it's going to be expensive. So doing it yourself, when it comes to exhaust stuff, I'm a little more confident. I haven't done too many fixes on exhaust before, but
a cat is four
on this one
bolts.
it's just like 4 bolts, and then but the underside of the Montero is kind of rusty. So basically, just dealing with all that like baked in. I'm gonna be throwing PB blaster on there. I'm gonna be spending a weekend working on getting this stuff replaced.
You need to make sure that those cat bolts, right, will rust up, right, and they'll typically rust from the actual where like the flange happens, where there's the bolt, the metal surface. That rust will form over the top of those bolts. Increasing the width of what that bolt once was. Right.
Oh no, I fully intend to snap them off and replace them.
Well, what people end up doing is they're like, oh, okay, so it's this size. So then they throw on a larger, not nut, but a larger socket.
So then
right?
it's like it gauges and ears. You have to keep getting bigger and bigger and
so
bigger.
So they throw in a larger socket than what they actually need. Then they round that out, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, oh crap, let's go a size shorter. And then they round that out, and then it's just a never-ending battle. Ask me how I know. This happened when I was taking my cat off my Civic, right? And so we ended up getting it off the whole exhaust, but we ended up having to Dremel down the old nuts to get a new flat surface to where the socket would fit on.
You know what? When we come back from Atlanta, I may ask for your assistance.
Nope, it wasn't me. It was Jason, my friend Jason. He's the one that did it. I was too scared to Dremel it because I don't trust myself with those things. And he did it, and he ended up getting it off, which is fantastic. But that's why you pay the extra, because it sucks to do.
Yeah, it does suck to do. So yeah, like a job, just throwing it out there, like I just dropped by a Meineke on the weekend. I was just like, hey guys, can you take a look at this and just tell me what you think? And they're like, yeah, no, if we do that, we're replacing using factory parts, so it's OEM. We're replacing all the oxygen sensors, and it looks like your car has 2 cats, not just one. It's like this 2-in-1 thing, and I'm just like, oh my god. I'm like, it would be cheaper to do a custom exhaust at this point.
They're like, that'll be $1,500.
Oh no, $1,600.
No.
Yeah. Serious. So obviously I'll be doing this myself.
Yeah, Dane.
This truck is gonna cost me one way or another, but I'd rather it cost me time and not anything. I fully recognize it's an extra vehicle. It's extraneous. It is beyond what I need, but it's something I want to do, so I will just treat it as such. I'm treating it like my new Miata.
Quick question. Do you know when the emissions was done last on that thing?
No clue.
Okay. So
I know for sure it wouldn't pass right now.
So it wouldn't pass right now. If there was a way to...
Because it doesn't seem to be burning out the fuel. But a lot of people throw out... And granted, sorry if I'm boring people who aren't into car talk right now. Although if you're into detailing, I hope you kind of like cars a little bit. But there are other things that lead to catalytic failure and stuff. A lot of times the OEM ones should last forever. What happens is a lot of times you'll get fuel that finds its way unburnt down into the cat, and then it gets superheated, and then it actually ends up melting and fusing the cat material inside, and it gets clogged, and then you have the issues. Yeah. So far it hasn't run rough, but I suspect that would be the next stage.
Technically, you should be able to grab a catalytic converter, right, and be able to look through one side and see light coming in on the other side.
And there are
right?
people
It
who are
would be
like,
pretty
oh,
clear.
you just need to remove it and then clean it out and then put it back in, and that could be a thing too.
Some
but
people, some people clean them out like. I don't know, that's one option, but I guess what
if it melts and fuses, though, you can't do that. It's kind of like a microfiber towel. Once it fuses, it's
I guess what
done.
I'm trying to say is that depending on when your emissions has been done, you could just straight pipe that freaking thing, right? Because
I strongly suspect now that I bought it that I'm gonna have to be putting it through.
Well,
I'm begging
soon.
you to not.
well, the reason why I'm saying this, okay, so you have to do emission every 2 years here.
I think that's it. Yeah.
So you're probably not gonna have a vehicle for longer than 2 years. Let's face it,
Oh.
guys, right? So, so if you do get emissions done, right? If you get it to pass, right? Then you could essentially straight pipe it, and then
a straight pipe V6 on a truck does not sound good.
No.
we don't know that.
It sounds
It-
like garbage.
Dane, doesn't have to sound good.
How,
or look
how
good.
many straight piped Ford Rangers in a high school parking lot do you need to hear before you know? See, I know.
Heard quite a
I've heard
few.
it. It's very specific because I know kids who did that back
Their
in high
names
school.
were Matt or Kyle or something along
like
those
Trevor.
lines. A lot of
Trent.
Trevors. A lot of Trevors.
a lot of T's.
Yeah.
Or Seth.
Oh man.
There's always one, you know.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry for the call out. Anybody who was out there with those names, and it's like, hey, I
You just
didn't do
offended
that.
half of our audience.
They're just so offended right now. But yeah, so that's what's going on.
Okay.
I'll pass it along. But basically, that was my weekend, was just kind of figuring that stuff out. And then I gave the Jag a wash. so
well, what'd
there's
you
that.
do? What'd you do for the Super Bowl?
Oh, for the Super Bowl, I joined my friend Brandon. We went over to a mutual friend's house and hung out with like a bunch of people I didn't know.
Okay.
But it was
Worst.
actually really fun. It was just like a bunch of really rowdy dudes and their wives, and they decided to like segregate themselves. So like all the dudes went upstairs, and they were mostly rooting for the 49ers. The ladies downstairs were more into the Chiefs because they were all about Garoppolo or whatever his name is. They're like, that's
Yeah.
a handsome dude, so they were all about that. Whereas the guys were mostly 49ers fans, and being a Seahawks fan, I was like, I'm not a bandwagoner. I've been one since like childhood. I used to live in Seattle, so that's my excuse. But in the case of the 49ers, I was looking forward to them winning. But man, when that fourth quarter came around, they were just eating it.
yeah.
Chiefs were tearing them a new one at that point, and they were just grabbing it left and right. So it was a fun game, though. It was much more fun than watching the Patriots play. I'm sorry to all the Patriots fans,
Ugh,
but
guys.
I'm just sick and tired of the Patriots.
Yeah, I think we're all sick of how many Super Bowls the Patriots have
Yeah.
gone to. It's just enough is enough.
That's enough, Belichick. Go home.
So
Goodness.
anyway, yeah, no, that's
Yeah,
great. So I'm glad you had fun.
That's what I did. But yeah, it was fun, and it was just a good time. So anyway, I'll pass it along. What happened over in your place?
Oh man. Well, Friday night I got home and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna have a pretty chill night. I'm gonna go to the gym, knock out some things like that. The thing is, what I'm finding is that a lot of my Friday nights aren't as exciting as they used to be. I find myself getting home nowadays, and it used to be like, hey, Friday night, dude, what are my friends doing? Let's go hit them up.
I'm gonna go out. We're gonna go
let's-
downtown, and it's gonna be great. No,
Well, not even that. It would be more like let's go to a movie. Let's go to dinner. Let's
go
just go
cruise.
do
Yeah,
something, right?
Yeah.
But I'm finding I'm getting home on a Friday. I'm like, Friday.
I'm done. Week's
Obviously
over.
a
I'm just
long
crashing on the
week.
couch. What's on YouTube?
Probably should just low key. So
I mean, you don't get to this without a few years of that.
Well, so I was telling Morgan, right? I on Friday, right? So
Yeah.
I went to the gym Friday night. I got this pre-workout that I ordered last week, right? Because I'm trying to get back in the gym, and pre-workouts
Jacks you
really
up.
helpful, kind of getting you some energy to get back into there. So I got this pre-workout called, I want to say it's called Superhuman by Alpha Lion or whatever the heck supplement company is.
that sounds like a joke, but I know it's true.
No, yeah,
because
it-
they
Wait,
all
yeah.
have names like this at
That's
this
the
point.
one that my roommate has.
Was it? With the
Mhm, 'cause I
gold,
looked,
gold and
like,
black?
The next day.
Is it
So-
great or is it terrible?
No, so I took it, right? And I'd taken it twice, and it just makes me feel not great. Like I get really sick to my stomach. I don't feel good.
You get like weird jitters and feel a
Um,
little nauseous. and-
Yeah, it's not like a good energy, right? And so like I basically already had taken it, had bad results, and I said I'm gonna take it one more time and see if it's really the thing that really makes me feel sick, right?
Uh-oh.
And go and behold, it is the thing that makes me feel really sick. And I'm like, dude, this is stupid stuff. I'm like, why am I even taking this stuff? Blah blah blah, whatever. So I need to figure out another energy solution package for myself. So I know this is probably boring to some people, but I don't know. Anyway, gym stuff.
Yeah.
So Saturday
I did
morning,
car stuff. You do gym stuff.
Saturday
Bring it on.
morning, I woke up really early because I
Yeah.
had an idea. I was like, you know what? I'm going to go to the junkyard today. And not just one junkyard. I'm going to go to several junkyards.
Oh.
So I was not necessarily looking for anything in particular. I was looking for a couple things, but I ended up going out to Caldwell and Nampa.
It looked like a big yard you were in. I saw your Instagram story. You'd been in there a while.
Huge. I would argue to say that the Caldwell yard is twice as big as this yard that we have here.
Wow.
And then the Nampa yard maybe 3 times as big.
Are there
the-
some Monteros in there?
There was Montero Sports. I'm sorry.
Oh, God. Montero Sports are garbage. Monteros are where it's at.
So anyway, Dan, I'm sorry, but I went to the first one. Wasn't really sure what I was looking for. Really, this is just kind of go for a walk, and I ended up finding some really kind of cool oddball things. Right, I ended up finding another pair of Honda Del Sol seats. Right, that I was like, holy
you had
crap.
been looking.
And what was funny is that I already have my Del Sol seats,
Right.
but these were in the exact same condition as the ones I currently have, with the exact same rips that mine have in the bolstering. And I was like,
Which
no
tells
way.
you one thing.
So anyway, I make a little story post on my Instagram saying, hey, does anybody want this stuff, right? Within about an hour, a guy had come pick those up that was also going to do the same mod that I did, which was pretty funny. So he was pretty pumped on that. But I ended up finding an OEM spoiler for a Civic, which is pretty cool. I ended
saw
up
that. It was a black
seeing-
Civic, right?
Yeah, seeing some other random stuff. And then I went to the other, the Nampa one, and in Nampa there, I found a CRV, right, that has a speedometer. That
Let me know next time you go. I'll join. I think it'd be kind of fun.
I was thinking about asking if anybody else wanted to go with me because it was
I
like
would.
it really was
Yeah.
an adventure that
Totally.
day. And yeah, so I found I was looking for a CRV cluster to fit into my Civic because they're the same size. This one just has like a different backing, so it looks a little bit
Yeah.
cooler. And I ended up taking out this whole dang thing to find out that like the mounting points were different on this particular one, and it has this switcher for an automatic
well, right, because it
transmission.
had the little tree for an automatic transmission guide of like what gear you're in.
And I thought you could swap that out, but apparently it's just a total pain. So I ended up doing like 30 minutes of work because I am removing this thing from the passenger seat of a CRV, right?
Yeah.
Because I couldn't sit in the driver's seat because the driver's seat was full of glass. And the driver door wouldn't open. So I'm doing this from the passenger seat in a wet CRV that had the windows down during a rainstorm.
Oh, boy.
So I'm literally sitting in just filth as I'm like...
And it like snowed on Sunday for a minute too. So
I'm like,
you
I'm
had
going to
that in there.
get this cluster out of here, and it's going to be awesome. And I finally did it. I'm like, this isn't going to work.
It wasn't worth it.
And my ass is wet. And so I was, this is not fun.
Yeah.
So I ended up doing that, going home, and kind of hanging out for the rest of the day. I think I ran a couple more errands. I ended up going to American Eagle Outfitters, right? And wanted to get a new pair of jeans.
I've not been there in a long time.
Don't
Not
do
since
it.
high school.
So, Dane, I am going into American Eagle as a 30-year-old man, and I'm finding that everybody in there, including the people working there, are 16. And so
yeah, no, you just feel out of place.
I felt gross. I felt
You're like, oh no, I've become the guy I never wanted to.
No, I'm sitting here, I'm like, I just want these dang jeans. I just want to get in and out of here, right? Because they're comfortable. And
So what's hip these
the
days?
lady's like, hi, sir, can I help you find anything? And I look over and I see this child, and I'm like, you called me sir. I already feel weird being in
You
here.
do realize that that's like common courtesy
No,
to call
it
anyone
was-
sir that's like
'Kay.
older than you.
You're
right?
Yeah, you're correct, right? But it was the way that it was said that I was like, she said this like I am an old man.
Hello, old man.
Like
No,
basically.
I think you're overthinking this, and I
No.
think you're having a little bit of a self-confidence issue. But
Yes.
you can literally walk, into any store.
No,
So-
Anthony and I share this though, like a hypervigilance,
It's like
just
a weird
neurotic
thing.
about these things.
Yeah.
You spend time thinking about what's this person thinking while they're talking to me. They're clearly thinking I'm an idiot. Oh no, I'm an old person. Oh no, like
Well,
it's a constant dialogue in your head,
correct.
or monologue rather.
So it's not like me walking into Justice, right, and saying, "Hey, I need to pick up some jelly flip flops or something," right? This was me walking to a store. It's kind of like that weird middle ground, and so I was like, whatever, man. So I got some jeans. Long story short, they were fine. And that night, I ended up going to see a movie. I went to saw The Gentleman,
Oh, that looked like a fun movie.
and that
Was that Guy Ritchie movie?
The Guy Ritchie.
Yeah.
Who is Guy Ritchie?
Guy Ritchie's done lots of movies. You know him
Like
for like
what?
Snatch and for
Oh.
Rock and Rolla and stuff like that.
Saw Snatch. Didn't see the other one.
Mm.
Anyway, Guy Ritchie directed this movie. Right, pretty good. It starts off really slow, not great, and ends up getting a lot better. It has the dude from Sons of
Wait,
Anarchy
The Man from
in it.
Uncle. Did you ever see The Man from Uncle?
Nope.
Oh, you'd love The Man from
I don't know if I would, Dane.
I think you would.
All right.
Anyway.
So, saw that movie. First, didn't really like it. By the time it ended, it was actually a really good movie, and I would totally watch it again. I think that Colin Farrell had a really cool part in that, and it was just kind of an interesting movie. And then yesterday, Super Bowl Sunday, the sports fanatic day of the year, right?
Mm-hmm. Sports ball.
I didn't do anything. My wife actually went to a Super Bowl party
Without you.
without me, because she asked me. She's like, "Do you want to go? I'm going to go with my friend, and we're going to go to the Super Bowl party. Do you want to go to this? Like, are you interested?" And I said, "Nope, not at all." Right?
For me, I was going for the snacks, and the people had cute dogs, so I hung out with the dogs while we watched the game.
Nice.
So that was that.
Dude, so I didn't leave the house.
Oh.
Do you ever have a day where you don't leave a house?
Yeah, I've had a
once?
few of those.
Those
It
are my
sucks.
favorite
I
days.
hate it. No, I
Literally
hated
my
it.
favorite.
I actually like them because I'll put on like comfy pants. You know, you got your
Wait,
Is that
you're-
different than the ones that you
what?
have on now?
I just
yeah,
wear
dude.
normal
You throw on the fleece
pants.
pajama pants, and you're like, today is the
Oh,
day where I
God.
stay indoors.
Dane, do you have Cookie Monster pajama pants by any
I
chance
don't
with hot
actually.
Cheeto stains on the sides?
No, because I actually clean these things. They're nice.
good.
They're very
Oh.
nice and they're very soft, and it's what you wear on a day you don't plan on leaving home.
Great job.
Sorry. Okay, so I know I'm really running this thing
No,
out.
go for it.
But basically, didn't do jack. Literally didn't do anything.
Yeah.
Right. I wasted most of my day on my phone, which I was pretty upset about. But I did do a little bit of detailing stuff. I ended up going through and coating my motorcycle, my front fender, and my front
okay. Your fairings.
fairing pieces that are my plastic. So I polished those out with the Rupa's hybrid, and then coated them OptiCoat Pro. And then from there, I ended up sitting down for about 2 hours. So on my Evo, right, I have a like a grill there. It was like a mesh black grill.
Yeah.
Right. From the factory, it's just like a black spray paint, whatever the heck they put on it. Well, over the years, right, that has started to chip away just from normal wear. So I sat there with a model brush.
Oh my God! You
And-
painted the little spindly spoke like
And
parts of the mesh.
Oh yeah,
Oh.
absolutely, Dane. I sat there.
That is tedious.
I cracked open a sour beer, and I sat there with a little bit of flat black paint, and just went over each little area.
I'm embarrassed to say that is something I would do. Like on a slow day, I'd be like, "This is therapeutic."
No, and I literally, I can't.
As long as you had a beer handy, like it.
I just had a beer in hand. I turned on some type of tunes, and
Yep.
I just sat there and just intricately went through each one of these little spokes and
Now,
touched up this paint.
Did you protect this paint with anything afterwards, or is it literally just
No,
painted
it's
and it'll
just,
chip
dude,
away
it's,
again?
It's like single stage crap paint that they use, and so they
I'm gonna put clear on this.
No, it's not that in depth. And so,
Oh.
but I did go through the whole thing, and I'm sitting here like, am I crazy? I'm like, yeah, I am crazy. I'm like,
just a guy in a prison cell marking on the wall.
I'm just sitting here like, am I ever going to get these hours of my life back, right? Is it
No.
worth this, for my sanity?
If it makes you feel at peace, if it gives you like that Zen feeling, I say it's fine to quote unquote waste time.
yeah.
It's okay as long as you're finding it enjoyable because
Dude,
life's
it
too
was,
short.
but it was just a cold day yesterday. Anyways, it was like 30 something, and I was like,
It
dude,
was.
it was windy. I didn't want to go
Windy,
outside,
yeah.
and so I was like, yeah, whatever it is, what it is. So that was pretty much it, man. It was a super low key, and I did watch the fourth quarter. That was kind of a slaughter, and
if you'd seen the game leading up to that, you would have had different feelings about the game.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
well,
Yeah.
it
Although
was-
you just don't care enough to really.
no,
No,
not
it's
really.
okay. I don't follow it that closely anymore either.
Morgan, take it away.
Yeah, please.
Hey guys, thanks for asking. Friday, left work, got home, and it was super nice on Friday. Like
Mhm.
It
Thursday
was,
and
yeah.
Friday, it was actually pretty warm outside. I don't think the sun was out. It might have been, but it was just warm. It wasn't like
Yeah.
hot, but it was just warm. So I was like, oh, like I can do some stuff
Sure.
outside when I get home. And something that I've been avoiding doing for a couple months is taking the broken side skirt extensions off of my car.
Right.
Because I'm just like, I don't want to, in the winter, like it's gross outside. I don't want to go out and jack the car up and try and get those off. So I hadn't done it for quite a while, which didn't really bother me because it's not like I drove my car that much or really do much
No,
with it.
you're
in the
starting to
winter.
turn into Anthony that way, where
I
the
know.
Evo just
It's
sits.
great. It's really the best.
I
Um,
drove it to the gas station this weekend, and right back in the garage.
330 horsepower gray cars just staying in the garage.
Yeah.
That's where they reside. They like to stay there.
Bummer.
So Friday night, I was like, I'm just going to do one side because I knew that when I pulled those off, that there was going to be like some rocks, little, sand pieces and dirt and
gravel.
stuff. Yeah, like stuck in that little area. And so I was like, okay, I know I'm going to take this off and there's going to be a ton of like scratches and stuff on the bottom. So I was like, oh, I'll pull the whole side skirt off. I'll take it in the garage, wash it off, and then I'll do like a quick little wet sand and polish of it. So I did. I took off the passenger side first and did that, and then it was nighttime and it was dark. So I was like, all right, I'm just going to leave this for, Sunday or Saturday or something like that. So I just put the side skirt up in the garage and pulled my car back in, and then that was it. It did help a little bit with the scratches, but for the most part, it was just like underneath, not really where you could see it anyways. So it was just like, I don't know, something to do.
Less obvious.
Like, yeah. So I did that.
Kind of like his something to do.
Yeah, I'm like,
Yeah.
So then Saturday, I went to breakfast with one of my friends who I haven't seen in a while. That's going to be moving to California. So it was like, well, like when your friends are actually moving, you're like, oh, well, we'll hang out sometime. It never really happens. But then when they're actually moving, you're like, okay, let's actually like.
Yeah, it's like your last chance.
Yeah. So we went and got some breakfast, and that was fun. And then I got home. We went to the new Bad Boys movie.
Did you?
Yeah.
How was that?
It was actually really good. I haven't seen the other ones, which apparently isn't very cool for me. So I watched the like recaps because you know how like when they have like
Sure.
Yeah.
The first one's actually like at the time it came out, it was good. It was really enjoyable. Second one is goofy and not as good, but really fun to watch.
Yeah.
Third one, I have no idea.
Yeah. So I watched it. It was pretty good. It was pretty good. I enjoyed it. And then I went back home, and then my roommate had asked me to kind of show her around the gym because she doesn't really like know anything, and I feel like it's kind of intimidating, especially for like girls to go to the gym by themselves. So she knows that I go pretty often, so she was like, oh, like, will you take me with you and like tell me what to do? And it was so funny because, like, when you first start going to the gym, like, it's hard. Like, it's hard to do things,
Oh, speaking from experience, going into a gym and, like, I hope I don't look stupid in front of all these people who clearly know what they're doing. When I go and pick this thing up, I hope I don't look like a moron. Oh, whoops, you're supposed to move that cotter pin over there? I didn't know that. Like, that kind of stuff. First time going into any gym is always a kind of scary time.
And I think she was telling me, she was like, yeah, we're going to Hawaii in a couple months, and like I just want to like feel a little better. And I was like, of course, like let's go, So me and her went, and it was pretty late because it was after I got home from the movie. So it was like 11:30 at night. So it was nice though because there was nobody there.
Which gym was it?
Johnny's Fit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So there was no one there. So it was nice because we just like walked in there, and I just like showed her where everything was, and that was fun. And then obviously I went home, went to sleep because anytime that's why I like going to the gym at night too, because then I get super tired after. Like on the way home, I'm like, yeah, that was a lot of energy, and then I just fall asleep.
Whereas it's the opposite, like it's not the runner's high.
Yeah,
where you're like, oh, it's just after that you're like, I'm done.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm ready to go.
What's a runner's high, Dane? Because I don't get that.
No? See, that's the thing. I don't look like it now, but I used to actually be in extremely good cardio shape because I ran a lot. Played soccer.
Yeah.
I ran marathon stuff, like not full marathon.
Enjoyed the way it made you feel.
I did actually. It
'Cause
was
I
really
hate it.
because I ran track and field and stuff. I did hurdles was my sport, and I hated hurdles, but I could run and I could jump, but I couldn't hurdle properly. So like when I get to it, I'd run and I'd be faster than the people, and I'd get there and then I'd hop over, and by that point they all caught up. And then I rolled on some, and I hit a few, and I tore my knee open, stuff like that. Like not fun.
Ooh.
So hurdling is if you're not good at
Why
it,
are you willing
it
to
could get
subject
ugly.
yourself to that kind of abuse for
in front of crowds
for
and everything?
sport?
Like something about it was just fun. I liked running, and obviously I haven't done it in a hot minute. So
So if we were okay.
But I love the feeling after running. Like it's something about it. I don't know exactly
Okay. Yeah.
I know there's chemistry there, but I couldn't tell you.
I'm just not sure, man.
exactly.
Every time
Just
I
the
run,
endorphins.
I just feel sick and I hate myself. And I say, why did I do that? You
And see,
know?
that's how other people feel like after working out at the gym. Some people just feel like, oh, God, I'm done. Oh, this is terrible.
Yeah.
And, you know, I feel like that too. But there's something after running for a while. Like, not on a treadmill. I'm not saying on a treadmill. I'm saying actually like running out in an environment of some kind. On a track.
Even
Exposed
worse.
to the elements.
Oh
on
my
a track or
God.
in a park, like just on a green belt, something like that. I found it
Anything
much
can
better.
happen out there.
Yeah, you know,
Yeah, Dean.
I can hold my own. I'm okay.
Okay.
Oh
All right,
my
Morgan, continue.
gosh. Well, that's
Sorry,
scary.
didn't mean to segue.
Yeah, so anyways, went to sleep after the gym. It's always a great sleep after the gym. And then Sunday woke up, you know, it's Super Bowl Sunday. There's kind of pressure to like go do something. 'Cause you're like, oh, this is like, you know, such a big deal in this
Get
freaking
excited.
country.
Yeah,
And I'm sitting here like, yay.
not feeling it.
So my parents obviously are like starting the day early. They're sending me pictures of their appetizers. And they're like, if you want to come over, you can. And I'm like, yes. Mom,
Not
if you're
feeling it.
listening to this, I totally wanted to come. I promise I did, but I got super
I think she just
busy.
realized that her mom couldn't see.
Oh yeah, her mom's totally gonna watch this.
Yeah.
No, but they were like, oh, if you want to come over, you can. My brother did go to his own thing, so it wasn't like it was weird that I wasn't there. It was just them two watching it, because my dad is a longtime 49ers fan.
Oh, okay, then he's
They used to
with that.
live when they got married in San Francisco. My dad was actually born in San Francisco, so San Francisco was kind of like a thing for them.
yeah.
So they were sending me pictures, asking me to come over, and I was just kind of like trying to chill and hang out. And then I'm like, well, I gotta go get this other side skirt extension off because we're gonna leave, and I don't want to know that that's still not done. Like while I'm
Yeah.
out of town, I don't want to be like, oh yeah, like when I get home I need to go get my side skirt extension off. So I was like, yeah, I need to get this off. And it was freaking cold on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
It
I was
freezing,
like,
yeah.
wait a second, because it wasn't that cold on
No, it dropped
Friday.
like 20, 30 degrees from where it had
Yeah.
been.
And I was like, okay, wait a second. So I like pulled my car out, and I was like, oh, it's cold. And so I jacked my car up, and then it sucked because the passenger side, like the clips, there's clips that attach it to like the side of
Yeah.
the body and then the underneath of the body. Well, the underneath ones on the passenger side were all gone.
That happens.
So when
I mean,
I took
somebody
it off,
swapped them before.
so I don't know, but when I took it off, like all I had to get was this one single
Clips, yeah.
one, and then all the clips that were on the side. So it was super easy. Literally took me 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And then I just drilled out the side skirt extension, and then I got to the other side, you know, thinking like, oh, this is going to be super easy because probably somebody took these off and then broke all the pins and didn't want
Yeah.
to put them back in, so they just did nothing.
Right.
And so I was like, oh yeah, it'll be fine. So I get it up and I look under there, and all the plastic pins are still in there. And I hate plastic pins. I hate
Oh
them.
yeah, they all get brittle and break
Yeah.
at time.
And I'm like sitting under here in, you know, however cold degree weather with a flathead screwdriver trying to pop these things out. And I'm like, no, I don't want to do this.
They're
So
fighting you back.
instead, I just literally took a screwdriver and unscrewed the side skirt extension, took it off, threw it away, and then pulled my car back in the garage. And I just left the other side skirt
Huh.
on, and I was like, yeah, you know, like it's fine. And then I messaged the guy who made the side skirt extensions, and I was like, hey, like they're normally like $160 shipped for the pair of them.
It's not bad.
It's
Yeah.
really not, but I messaged him and I was like, hey, like, and he was like, I'll give you them for 80 shipped, and I was like, thank you. So
I hate people like that.
Oh man.
so those will be going back on probably, I don't know, sometime soon when I get to it, before show season and nice
It should
weather
be
starts.
warming up here pretty
Yeah.
soon. I've been really disappointed with this winter.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
hoping for a big one, just
Dude,
because
I'm done, man.
we're due.
Yeah.
But instead, it's just been this weird
Put my
mishmash.
my wheels back on. I think those.
Yeah.
It was more dangerous to drive with those studded
yeah.
snow tires
Trying to stop.
in this weather than
It's
it would be with just normal tires. And
Yeah.
so
True.
I put my other wheels back on. I'm like, screw this, man. I'm like, it's just way too. It's too warm out. I don't feel like I have good traction. My stopping power is absolutely horrible, and I want to put my tires back on.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, I will need to order new tires because I have some pretty bad toe wear
Oh.
after I never got my alignment done after I lowered my car.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, that'll do.
Well,
it.
it's a long story of different things, but I do need to order some new tires, so I'm on the lookout. Unfortunately, they don't make my favorite Indy 500s by Firestone, the Firehawk Indy 500s. They don't make them in 205/50s, unfortunately. So I'm probably going to either order some Dunlops.
So they were able to do the alignment despite the fact your car was lowered?
No, I lowered my car, didn't get the alignment done
Got it.
afterwards.
Because what happened
Yeah.
to me was my car lowered when I bought it. So on the Jag, when I got the new front tires put on, they told me, sorry, like we got it close, but we can't use our machine to align it. You'll have to go to the dealership, because they thought it was stock ride height. They didn't know it had been lowered. And they're just like, man, that's low. So surely you can go to the dealership and get that. And I'm like, I don't think
So you
the
have
dealership.
to take it to Larry H. Miller Honda.
Okay, they can do lowered? Okay.
That's the only place
Noted.
I take my car, and it's also because they don't have that like normal thing that you drive your car on that will ruin your wheels.
Well,
Or your
mostly,
lower,
mostly,
low
yeah.
part.
I want to get that aligned, because now that I got new tires on there, I plan to keep them for a while, and they were not cheap. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Feel
So
definitely more
I
than
I need to do that as well. But detailing wise, what I was going
Yeah.
to talk about, because I know people actually really enjoyed our talk on matte detailing.
Yeah,
Remember that?
that was
Remember
fun. I
conversation?
like
There was
that. I
people
mean,
that
we had a
enjoyed
big
that.
conversation that wasn't even on the podcast before we even did that.
Yeah.
That was about it.
So we're not going to be talking about that today.
No.
But what I wanted to talk about was actually.
Hello?
Holy crap! I just forgot what I wanted to talk about.
Space.
I literally just had it in my head.
Well, while you're
and then it
thinking about that,
completely sorry. I
okay.
remember now. I remember
my
what I was going to talk about.
okay.
Are you sure?
So I want to talk about etchings, right? Specifically, I
yeah.
want to talk about bug gut etchings. So the reason why I want to talk about this is because the front fairings of my motorcycle, right? And this can be applied to motorcycles, can be applied to cars, it can be applied to pretty much anything, right? That gets bug guts.
Yeah.
So a big thing for me, right, is when I would take my motorcycle up in the mountains and things like that, I just get hammered with bugs. My front of my, especially going along the river, right?
Sure,
My whole
yeah.
front just gets hammered. And the thing is that these bugs will bake on there during a hot day, right? So
Yeah.
I'm riding, sun's on me, could be 90-something degrees, 80-something degrees up in the foothills, and these bugs just tend to bake. Now, what I found is when I get home, that's the first thing I try to do is clean them off. But because my paint is black and because my clear is actually pretty soft on those pieces, I find that even wiping those will leave an etch behind, right? So it sucks. It's not ideal. And then the days that I say, I can't really get to it tonight, I'll get to it tomorrow because I'm really tired. Not even.
So even you never like brought like a go kit in a backpack or something
So-
that you could do a quick wipe? Or?
So correct. So I would start doing that. Now here's the problem, right? Because you're out riding and you're out collecting all this stuff.
Yeah.
You need something that's going to be a good cleaner, right? So you need either O&R in a bottle, you need OptiClean
I
in
was
a
going to say
bottle, you need
OptiClean or waterless wash by Wovo's, one of those two. would
something
do
like
it.
that, right? Because you want to spray that on and then you want to wipe it off with a nicer towel.
Yeah.
Hard part about riding a motorcycle, right? Something you wouldn't have in a car is that you can fit nicer towels. You can fit a whole kit in a car.
Sure.
What you can't fit on a motorcycle is a bunch of towels, right? I don't have a ton of storage
I was
there.
just saying, unless you got saddlebags.
Don't have saddlebags. I
Mm.
typically don't ride with a backpack, so I try to fit whatever I can inside my pockets of my
Yeah,
jacket.
that's going to feel real
And I
awkward
can't
carrying
fit
a
I
bottle
can't
in
I
there.
can't fit a beautiful Eagle 500 in my pocket to be able to clean this stuff up. So
People would ask questions.
so in terms of like cleaning things up on the road, I think to myself, how would a guy safely clean on the road,
Sure.
right, with black finish, like
Mhm.
black, soft, clear, collecting a ton of bug guts, collecting a ton of dirt, dust, all sorts of stuff. How would you clean on the road safely, right?
Yeah.
Really what it kind of came down to is I would bring a bottle of OptiClean or something like O&R already diluted, and I would cut a piece off of a towel. I'd maybe bring like an Eagle and I would cut a little square off.
Sure.
And have that on me, spray it, completely saturate it, almost be like a one-time use thing, and then just toss it, right?
Yeah.
Because I don't want to keep using that over and over again, because a lot of times, man, these bugs that will carry all sorts of crap inside of them, and it'll be almost abrasive
Yeah.
once they explode and hit the front of something. So going back to what I was saying, in terms of the etchings, right? So the front of my fairings, right, I was looking at them and I say, okay, I see a ton of etchings on here that have been here forever. One method about going around and getting rid of some of these etchings that I've found, and it sounds totally crazy and it sounds totally not right, is actually an old Junkman method, right? So if you guys remember the Junkman, right, via YouTube, His method for removing bug etchings is something that I've used countless times, and it works, right? And this is super weird, and it could be kind of conflicting, right?
He had a lot of those like homemade remedies for stuff, but he was really, really good at demonstrating how to do it in a way that made sense and worked.
Correct. I don't know how this works to this day, but I know that it does work.
But it does.
So take yourself a piece of clay bar, right? You can do fine grade clay, you can take a clay towel, you can take whatever it is, right? And you're going to be using a ton of lubrication. I'm talking like overkill lubrication.
Sure.
So basically to where you're just constantly spraying.
Yeah.
Clay the area that has the etching and scrub at it. I'm not talking like lightly rub on the surface. I mean...
So I got my Scotch-Brite pad and my...
physically scrub it with the clay, right? Here's the thing. You will not cause a ton of marring on the surface. You will not cause it to look like a wet sanded mark. It won't look like something that's been sanded. It'll have maybe some light marring from the clay, but that etching will slowly but surely begin to disappear. It is very strange. And so I ended up doing that on the front of the fairing of the bike, right? Claying it pretty hard, pretty aggressively with a ton of lubrication. I got rid of most of these etchings right off the bat, because sometimes when I polish out these etchings, they come back, right?
Right.
And so the idea is that you want to be able to get rid of these etchings permanently, which would be wet sanding would be the thing. I don't know how much clear is left on the front of this piece of fairing. I can't just keep wet sanding and over. I can't just keep wet sanding and over again, right? And it's a special edition color, and I think a replacement of that thing is like $400. It's like a little piece this big. So I end up claying it, I end up polishing it out and getting it completely removed. Now, what's the difference between a coated surface that collects etchings versus an uncoating surface that collects etchings? I'm talking specifically ceramic coatings.
Oh, okay. So you're asking what the difference between the two is. I would say a coated surface that gets etchings should still give you safe paint underneath that is then fine once the coating is removed. But you got to go through the coating. You got to replace it afterwards, because that's your sacrificial layer. That's the whole point.
Yeah. So correct, right? So the thing is with a coating, right? Especially the OptiCoat line of things, right? So whether you're doing OptiCoat Pro Plus, whether you're doing OptiCoat Pro, or even Gloss Coat, right? A lot of them are chemically resistant to etchings. A lot of the coatings out there, but can actually heal an etching with UV exposure, right? So a big thing that Ivan used to say is that a lot of these coated cars would get etchings, but parking them in the sun for a couple days, right, will drastically reduce the look of them because that etching is in the coating and not in the paint.
Right.
And
that's one of the biggest reasons you want to coat a car.
Correct,
if
right?
You're interested in coating. That's one of the huge pluses.
Now, here's the other part that sucks about etchings, right? You see all these cars, just an everyday person car, an everyday driver, right, that will get hammered with bug guts.
Yeah.
But under really deep inspection, a lot of times these everyday drivers won't get etchings. They will get covered in bug guts, but they won't get etchings, because of how contaminated the paint is, right? So basically,
it's acting like a coating.
It's acting like a coating. I can't tell you how many times I have just polished.
+1 for being lazy.
So the GTR I did, for example, right?
Yeah.
It was hammered when it was delivered to me, right? And
You
this
said
was
that
a year
paint was a
year ago, and
nightmare.
it was a nightmare. The thing was, and I'm looking at this, I'm like, how are there not deeper etchings in this, right?
Yeah.
And it wasn't on the self-healing paint; it was just on the normal clear, and I'm like, that's amazing. Other cars I've done, I see these cars that show up hammered, or I polish an area, and I say, or I just clean the area, and I say, this was covered in bug guts. I've taken a bug scrubber to it, but it doesn't have an etching, underneath it.
Right.
And I say, how long has it been since your last wash? I don't know, a month, 2 months. So that means that your paint was so contaminated that any bug that got on there, the guts, right, were somehow not miraculously able to break through the contaminants that you had on your paint to actually cause damage to the clear. Is this making sense?
Oh yeah.
It's almost like the people that have so much crap build up on
The
their
people who
paint.
care are the ones who get hurt, and the people who don't care are the ones who continue to go through
Exactly.
life oblivious and happy.
Exactly. And so
There's a greater lesson in that.
Whereas that's what I ended up realizing
Yeah.
when on my fairing was I'm sitting here thinking, how in the world do all the owner that had the bike before me, right? He's told me, oh yeah, I went through a storm of crickets one time and the whole front got hammered, right? When I got that bike, there was no major etchings. There was no nothing on it, right? There was no
Once
there was
you cleaned
nothing.
it up.
But once I ended up doing an OCD detail of it and polishing it and correcting it and doing all this stuff on it, that's when I started noticing that these etchings were sticking and staying and
Right.
wouldn't go away, right?
You're
And
giving them a clear path.
And
to
it
do
wasn't because I just had an eye for it. It was because there was something physically happening on that surface that is allowing them to etch faster.
Mhm.
And that's when I was like, that's it, man. Like, that's the thing. The guy like us, or guys like me, you, that maybe don't have a coated car but have a really high-end wax, or maybe go through the extent of
Sure.
correcting and perfecting their paint and doing the decon, and let's just say they throw a bead maker on, they throw a wax, they throw whatever on. Yeah, well, that stuff is going to technically be a barrier to help prevent etchings. It's not going to be the end-all, be-all,
No.
because once the etching happens, it happens, and it's stuck inside there. Whereas people with contaminated everyday driver's paint are driving around, getting
It's
their
not
front
getting
end
through.
absolutely hammered, and it's never doing anything.
Because the bugs are probably, once again, the bugs that land on it are ending up on there after the contamination is mostly built up.
Yeah, yeah.
So
and-
it's clogging the pores and reducing the opportunities. For
correct. I mean,
etching
that's.
to
I mean,
happen.
and I would like to know more. I mean, if there's anybody this can get very scientific about this, I'd like to know more about this on why it's happening, because this is me just kind of throwing out there what I've found in my experience. But it's almost like you either want a coated car, right, to obviously protect against etchings because it's going,
PPF.
or PPF, absolutely PPF. PPF can still etch though, but
Yeah.
but it's also self-healing. But having that UV almost like healing effect with some of these coatings with bug etchings, that's fantastic. But in terms of everybody else out there that just has cars with just normal protection, or maybe just cars that are corrected and perfected that have just a
Yeah.
very light wax on them, what kind of risk are they at when it comes to bug etchings and things?
One stop, like you go out to dinner one night in your nice car and you drive home kind of at that dusk period,
Yeah.
and you just go through a cloud of whatever insect you want to
yeah.
name, and that's where it happens.
Yeah. And
if you live in the South, it's 10 times worse.
Oh yeah, and I'm complaining about this
We're
in
fortunate
Idaho,
here in
and-
Idaho
and
compared
we got
to
it
a lot
made.
of places.
And people that go through like the love bugs and things like that, I'm sitting here like, how the heck are you have to have a regimen for getting those things off, because
Yeah.
the etchings can be such a big threat. And that's for me. I mean, what I kind of learned, right, is that okay, so obviously coated cars are safe, right? So basically, like the Evo is safe. The Civic right now is not coated, so that would be considered unsafe, but
Sure.
it's got enough hydrophobic slick things on there that I'm hoping those bugs just ski off the front.
Yeah.
But then so
Woo!
my motorcycle, that thing is coated, right? So then I know that that's
Yeah.
protected, and that'll be great. But my regimen that has been for like the last couple of years is I take whatever vehicle I take out, whatever gets completely hammered with a bug gut or a bird dropping, I just immediately remove it.
Yeah.
You are going to do less damage just removing it right then.
Quickly.
Quickly.
Even if it is a more aggressive method,
Yeah, I mean,
if you're fast.
like if you have not a microfiber towel in sight and you just got a big bird dropping on your car and you're like, holy crap, I got to remove that, but I don't have anything to safely remove it. Instead of letting it sit there for the next several hours in the sun or the next day, go get a paper towel, as sad as this is. Wet it down, completely saturate it.
You heard it
let
here first, folks. Microfiber towel company, use a paper towel if you're desperate.
I'm just saying, use anything, set it on the surface,
Yeah.
remove some of that. I'm not saying to wipe it with a paper
No,
towel,
but, like,
just
get-
blot it.
the majority of it.
Yeah, just get it off the car, because that's going to be your safest bet. Because, dude, etchings just suck, because some of the times they can not only will they mess up the clear, but they can mess up the base coat underneath.
Right.
There's
I expect it on like the black paint on your bike in particular. I'm curious about Morgan's gray paint. Like,
Yeah.
how's that on your M3? Is that typically you get bug splats and they tend to
what's
sneak
interesting is,
in?
but her clear is so hard that
Yeah.
I almost
Oh,
think
that's a
that
good point.
that some of those BMW clears are so hard that they don't have the same effect, right? When we were doing Adam LZ's 335i,
Yeah.
right, his white one, it was dirty when
Yeah.
we did it.
Oh, it
was-
was dirtier than dirty. Like that level of contamination, you spent a lot of time. The
And it
video
was
shows it.
covered
Yeah.
in bug guts, right?
Yeah.
When I was going through, I was amazed that car didn't have as many bug etchings as that it should have had.
And this
And
is why.
Because it was not only was it extremely contaminated, but it also kind of had the benefit of being BMW harder paint.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of different factors that play into it.
That's fun, though. A lot of people, I don't think people think about this in these
it's-
terms, especially if they're into detailing. Like,
Yeah.
they probably don't have a lot of opportunities where they experience this because they probably keep their own stuff so nice. They don't
Yeah.
consider that there's actually a safety element involved with
No.
having a horribly contaminated surface.
Yeah, it's just crazy. Oh, and then one last thing, detailing wise, will end on this for me is that I ended up taking Katie's car out, not looking too closely at it,
Yeah.
obviously, and washing that. And so I washed it, gave it a rundown, and hasn't been washed in, I want to say 2.5 months or whatever it was. So it was pretty filthy. Did a full 2-bucket method, used detailer shampoo, went over the whole car, used cyclone wash pads. Actually, is my favorite
Nice.
thing to use on that vehicle. And I usually use 2, right? So I'll have
Yeah.
2 that I cycle back and forth through. And then for protection, what I ended up doing was a bead maker bath. And I didn't go God mode. I couldn't, my multi-sprayer was filled with something else. So I ended up just using a trigger sprayer. Soaking it. I went through 32 ounces of bead maker.
Buddy.
I did
wow.
I'm talking bead maker bath, man. I'm talking the thing was just swimming in it. And
I mean, it must have smelled great.
Oh, it was amazing. Yeah. And so, and then I took the gauntlet, 20 by 30, dried it off. Awesome. Just,
Yeah.
So that towel's been through 4 or 5 washes by now, that specific one that I have, and it just gets better.
Were they all
and
bead maker
better.
washes, or were they other things? Because I
So-
know after a wash with that, you probably want to clean it out sooner rather than
Immediately,
later.
right? So, like, for example, that towel had not seen bead maker yet. It only had seen, I think, waterless wash and OptiClean.
A nice towel like that you want to preserve, so
So
don't let a sealant cure in
the
it.
second literally the final wipe of bead maker, right? I walked straight into my house, into the washer, threw in the rest of my mitts,
And you go.
right? And I go detergent, I do distilled white vinegar, and turn it on. And so, so the towel is
Smart.
fine, but it's it is such a great towel. I tell people the more you wash the gauntlet, the better it seems to get.
Yeah.
And not only does it feel softer, but it's more malleable. It's more you can able to kind of work with it a little
Sure.
bit more. It's not as big and heavy feeling after a few washes. It seems to kind of feel like it's lightened the load and get softer. So, but gave that a wash. That went good. And yeah, man. I mean, I would say that my bug etching thing. Think about it, right? If anybody's interested in going deep down that rabbit hole of bug etchings, because spring is upon us, summer is upon us, and bug etchings, in my opinion, are just not maybe as bad as a rock chip, but they are very annoying, and so just things to think about.
Bug etching isn't going to lead to rust right away like a rock chip might.
No,
But
it won't.
It's its own kind of danger.
It's its own kind of a crappy thing that
Yeah.
happens. So just something to keep in mind. Anyways, that's my detailing talk.
No, I enjoy that. That was a great point.
Anything else, Morgan, from you detailing wise?
Nothing to add.
I was just going to throw out there, how about that you wondered if you're remotely interested in the Fast and the Furious movies, no matter how dumb or smart you may
man.
think they are, like smart in the sense that they are exploiting an audience where you're like, they know exactly what they're getting, and this is not high-class entertainment. This is just goofy fun. They have become so ridiculous.
Dane, it's gotten
The
bad.
trailer for the 9th one, good Lord, that was...
Like, honestly,
insane.
like you said, it wasn't so bad until the plane picked up the car.
I saw the Magna plane, and I just said...
This has got to stop. Like,
But
the
I think, yeah, there were some things.
like, for example, the flip car, that was one thing where you're like, okay, this is pretty crazy.
But they actually built that.
But yeah, but
and
not
that exists in real life.
but
They
not
did that.
unrealistic. But I'm sitting here like a magnet plane.
Well, and I mean, anybody who's been paying attention to these knows that they let physics out the door like from day one. But a lot of people are like, okay, 6th movie, world's longest runway. 7th movie, jumping a car from one skyscraper into another skyscraper.
To another, yeah.
Yeah, just all that. This, though, freaking Tarzan swing on a cable.
Yeah, that was pretty bad, man.
That was some of the goofiest. Okay, I will say, though, I'm going to go see it.
Absolutely.
Because I have to know.
Oh, yeah.
Also, I love Han. Sorry, spoiler alert.
Yeah.
But I just want to see that Fiero. Like, that was the most exciting thing in that whole trailer to me. I was like, oh my God, they're actually using a Fiero. That's so cool.
Yeah.
And then they strap rockets to it.
It's pretty amazing.
That's going to be nuts. So, yeah, If you didn't know, or if you don't care, sorry. But, sometimes you just, it's definitely popcorn type of movie.
So we watched this, all three of us actually watched the trailer together right when it first came out. And they're starting to talk, and they were like, yeah, the John Cena character, he's this person. He's a world-class driver. He's a killer. He's all this stuff. And I'm like, and he's Dom's brother. And then literally, and I said it sarcastically. 2 lines later, he's Dom's brother. And I'm like, no way. Are you kidding me?
Because of course, that's the line of logic these movies are
like,
using.
come on. Like, that's the most predictable thing I've ever seen.
It's hacky to a point, but you kind of know what you're getting. And when they reveal pretty much the entire plot in a trailer, depending on the movie, you're mad. But with these, you're like, they know what they're doing. Like, you go in there, you're still gonna have fun. It just, like, Hobbs and Shaw was fun. I enjoyed that, but this is getting crazy, man.
So, yeah, that's a lot of fun. All right, well, that's all I got.
All right. So, with that said, guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. I do believe we will be doing a live Q&A. It won't be quite as nausea-inducing as our on-the-road one we had on the East Coast adventure, but we'll try and do it just from a stationary place, maybe at the racetrack or at, like, the cabins we're staying at, something like that, when we are in Georgia this week, actually.
Yeah.
We go there on Wednesday. So, yeah, we'll do Thursday somehow, some way. We'll carve out some time and try and have some fun.
Heck yeah.
So, yeah, Q&A will be happening, but probably on a phone or an iPad, so don't expect the world's best audio quality. Anyway, now that I've said that, make sure you are subscribed to us here on the Rag Company Podcast YouTube channel. And if you haven't already, go subscribe to the Rag Company YouTube channel. We want to make sure everybody's, here in the family. So with that said, adios.
See ya.